Bay Area Brawler, Skylar Greenberg, and your Colonial Champion, Sean McCoy. Welcome to the Court-Martail Podcast!
Welcome back to the Court-Martail Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. You thought we were gone. I bet you were wondering, where did we go? Where did we come from? Where did we go? There's nobody named Joe here except for the man on top of the World Wrestling Entertainment. But we're here to talk about people climbing to the top. It's Money in the Bank, it's a review, and who knows where we're going from here. All I know is that I am your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, and we are going to break down every single match that took place, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. And joining me, as always, the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour. He is the Bay Area Brawler himself, Skylar Greenberg. Welcome back, my friend. It's been a few months.
Wait a minute. When I here to review Forbidden Door?
No, the door is no longer forbidden. No, we're going to keep that door shut.
No, John, I quit. No, sorry, I can't do it.
You don't what you want.
How can we not talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW, the best show of all time? How can we not talk about the 6 and stars rated matches? No, I can't do it. I can't. No,
Skylar, wow, the last 3 months have really changed your tune, haven't they? And here
fucking course I don't want to review Forbidden Door. Fuck that shit.
Now, to be fair, I did not hate Forbidden Door. And folks, if we talked about everything that happened from the time WrestleMania to now, we'd have hours and hours and hours worth of conversations. Basically, our reformat here is going to be, we're going to be adding time limits. We're going to kind of get to the meat of the matter in a more concise manner. And I think that should be enough to not only give you guys the quality entertainment you deserve, but also let us get our shit in, but a little more tactfully than Brian Cage, I would imagine.
Again, it's not that we don't love you guys. It's just that we didn't have the energy to go for 3 hours podcast like AEW would require us to do.
Well, and the other part of that, too, it's like, Forbidden Door, we would have had to talk for a while about it, and we were also talking for a while about everything, and just, it's a slog doing a 3-hour podcast every week. You know, that is a lot to invest in. So we're just kind of taking things one step at a time, 1 week at a time. Who knows whether we're gonna have like a full-blown schedule or not. I'm not really worried about that. What I am worried about is what the man who is not here has to say about this program. But before we get to him, what were your initial thoughts on Money in the Bank 2023?
I will say this. It's amazing what an energetic crowd can do to a show.
Yeah. We saw that at Backlash, too, in Puerto Rico, which was another big event that took place that also was not that bad of a show either, in all things considered. And it was another really hot crowd. And London, of course, was another white-hot crowd. And, boy, they ate almost everything up on the night. And I have to say, I thought the show was all right. It wasn't the greatest show they've ever done. It's not the worst show they've ever done. Nothing was overtly offensive, really. And that's something that is not necessarily par for the course with WWE. It's kind of been inconsistent now that Vince has kind of stuck his toes back in the water, which has been very apparent, by the way, that it has been something of a balancing act of late between Triple H and Vinnie Mac.
Yeah, it's very clear because there are certain parts of this show that were Vinnie Mac stuff. There are certain parts of the show that were Triple H stuff. But the main thing to take away from this is that this wasn't a bad show. It kept up the energy that it needed to in order to continue on the path to SummerSlam. I just got annoyed by certain things that we'll get into.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely get into it. But now we have to talk about the man. Most guys and gals in Money in the Bank are climbing up the ladder to get to the top and get the briefcase, while this man is slowly climbing back down the ladder to get to the bottom rung so that he can kick his own teeth in. Because we have some notes. Roll the intro, baby.
It's time for Josh Agaddon's Notes of the Week. It's time for his Notes of the Week. Oh, yeah.
Is it true? Am I reading this correctly? Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? The boys are back, motherfuckers. That's right, you pernicious asswipes and sanguinous incels. Your Colonial Champion and the Bay Area Brawler have returned with the best pro wrestling podcast on top of or inside the earth. The Court-Martail Podcast. Whoever else you listen to for wrestling podcasts, fuck them. Sorry. I'm reading that for the first time. That threw me for a second. That was good. The king
Thank you for the rub, Josh.
That's right. The king is back, baby. That's right. Throw your babies and confettis and hoopla into the air and rejoice with me. Oh yeah, I'm Josh again, by the way, the eternal third wheel of the crew. Last time I did notes, my formatting was described by Sean and Skylar as so well thought out and put together that I should draw up plans and visit the Titanic via submarine. Do you remember saying that, Skylar?
Too soon? Is that too soon?
Not really. Too deep, definitely. Too deep. You know, that was kind of part of the problem. But anyway, to make it easier for this merry band of silly billies that I love so much, only Sean will be reading the notes. Is that easy enough to follow? Maybe. Anyway, we watched WWE Money in the Bank 2023, and I personally thought it was a good show. More details down below. You can stop throwing the babies now, as it is now time for the siren sounds of pro wrestling deconstruction and analysis. Because that's what we do here, as I have been informed. So, let's cack this slack off with the opening of the show. What did you think about this Bond-style opening package that they threw in for London?
I mean, come on, it's James Bond. It's really fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, now, I was named after Sean Connery. True story. Lying, crying, not shedding a tear. But it was cheesy, but it was the right kind of cheesy. So I'm like, okay, I'm with this. I'm totally with this. Until they came up with the name Bloodline Civil War. That's dumb. I didn't like
I mean,
that.
you know what they're ripping off, right?
I know, of course. Of course. And it's like, why? Why do that? But in any case...
I mean, they're about 7 years too late.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, there's not even the same Captain America anymore. And I don't even follow these movies. But in any case, speaking of things that are hard to follow most of the time, we open up with the men's Money in the Bank match, which included, and was in fact limited to, Damian Priest versus Santos Escobar versus Pete Dunne versus LA Knight versus Ricochet versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Logan Paul. What did you think overall, Skylar?
The hard part is that the Money in the Bank ladder match is supposed to be the car crash ladder match. It has definitely lost its luster over the years just because we've seen it so many times. I mean, I don't fault any of the guys in this particular match because I think they all did a good job. It's just hard to get excited about something that we've seen a lot.
Yeah, the first thing that I thought of when I saw this is just, I'm over this concept. I am so insanely over this concept as far as in anything other than E-Fed wrestling. It's just, the multi-man ladder matches, they don't do anything for me anymore. Everything ends up to me being just kind of reckless stuff that could really hurt people, which we saw in this matchup particularly. But I don't know, there was a couple things that just bothered me just from the off of this. Before we get too deep and sink our teeth into it, Michael Cole was, you want to talk about things that made you tell that Vince was there and Vince was involved. This was this was 2017 Weenie Shire Cole all tonight.
It's Wintershire Cole and Wade Barrett being just generic heel commentator number 43.
I mean, there were some lines of Wade's that I liked, but I don't know. I understand why he was there. But I actually, I don't know. I bet you probably felt the same. I ended up longing for Pat McAfee for most of the night.
But that's never going to happen. He's too popular.
Yeah, well, eventually. Yeah, well, he may come back. Well, we'll see what happens. He keeps his options open. But in any case, it was just okay. But there's one thing that bothers me. Now, during our little hiatus, I went to Raw in Hartford, not seat filling. I was there with a purchased ticket, being a man who bought tickets to a show to watch the show. Yeah, absolutely. That's how it all went down. But anyway, during that Raw, which was actually quite good, it was the one that had Gunthar and Kevin Owens in the is one of the matchups, and the main event was Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins, and I mentioned that because this kind of factors in to stuff later on tonight as far as Money in the Bank goes. But they do something on these shows where they will have somebody important, or they'll do one of their poses during their entrance theme. You'll hear the pyro boom, but there's no pyro. They just do a big boom. But there's never any pyro.
They don't have the pyro, they just have the sound of pyro?
They do this, yes. They did this like 7 times on that Raw, and they did it again. I think it was for Damian Priest in this one. It's just boom, and it's just a loud noise. There's no actual pyro.
I mean, they do that for like lights on or lights off stuff. Maybe they didn't get approved to do pyro in the O2 in London. I don't know.
No, that can't be, because there's the crazy thing. In Hartford, Cody did get pyro. Real pyro. And Roman Reigns on this night got real pyro. So did Cody got real pyro. It's just that some people are just not important enough to earn pyro. They just earn pyro noises. The amount of pyro and the amount of degree of pyro is how over you are in the interior hierarchy of WWE. That's a fact.
I mean, that's always been true.
Yeah. So if you're getting pyro noises, that's like a good mid-card spot that you are. If you're not getting any pyro noises at all, you're not doing too great. And if you get actual pyro, then they actually have something for you.
Yeah.
So... But speaking
of...
Let's
talk about this match.
Let's talk about these outfits. First of all, Santos Escobar looked like a creative fighter on Mortal Kombat Armageddon. The dude looked absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what that outfit was. And then, I don't know what was... Like, they had this weird bat thing with Priest. I'm like, what is with these goofy outfits?
That's just wrestling in general. Everybody wears a weird outfit now.
I know. But at least Seth Rollins has made that kind of his gimmick, as has Becky. But these guys are just, I don't know. It made the whole thing look very, very just silly and not in a good way silly, just like childish, or 81-year-old childish, if you know what I mean. But it was just, I don't know. But then it comes LA Knight, and Skylar, this whole match was the LA Knight show. Period.
Yes and no.
Except for the winner.
Well, here's the thing. I will agree with you that LA Knight has gotten himself over. It shows the faith that they have in him, and also the faith that you have in Eli Drake to be able to get over.
Indeed. It doesn't take much.
But,
I mean, this guy was literally... all he did was stand up, and the people cheered. He did a DDT, and the crowd lost their minds.
And that's been happening not just in London, but also around the U.S. People love LA Knight. It's amazing how, when we do the grapplings at the end of the year, I'm going to give Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight the worst match of the year contender. But it's not LA Knight's fault.
Yeah, and he somehow did better than that. And it was amazing just how they did that. But I do like what they did with Logan Paul in this match as well.
That's the thing, is that this was the LA Knight and Logan Paul match, because LA Knight was the uber babyface of this match. Logan Paul, talk about the heat.
Oh, yeah, well, and London was oh so happy to boo Logan Paul. They were ready for that. They were so ready for that. And it was great to have those two. And I think that there were some whispers about those two specifically working together in the near future, which I would be all for. You know, I think that
I mean, if that's a SummerSlam match, I would be looking all forward to that.
The problem is, does LA Knight lose that match? Probably.
I mean, Logan Paul is so good as a heel. He gets his heat back. So I think you could have LA Knight go over.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of factors there that, you know, on and off. But as we're getting into this, I do love, one of the things that always bothers me about this is that everyone just starts fighting and then they start just getting ladders, you know, and all sorts of things. The step number one, everyone beats up Logan Paul. He immediately just gets out and gets right to the ladder and goes right for the briefcase. Like, I'm not wasting any time. I'm getting straight to the point. I love that. People don't do that enough in these matches of just going straight for the objective.
I mean, logic.
I know. It's a weird thing that happens here, but it's But then this is what happens, though. They do this thing with LA Knight where he gets this one DDT and the crowd loses their minds. And then I forget who it is. I think it was Escobar or Nakamura, but I might be wrong. It might be one of the other. It might be been Pete Dunne or something like that. Or Ricochet. But basically, they stand. No, it was Shinsuke Nakamura, because Nakamura does the come on, and they do the fakest rock'em sock'em robot punches I have ever seen.
The second I saw that, I knew you were gonna hate it.
Oh, I was like, oh, come on. That was the dumbest. I'm like, listen, Shinsuke Nakamura has had all of 2 really good matches in WWE, and everything else has been middling attempts to recreate what has never been able to be recreated from his New Japan days. It's just a fact. And I'm sad to say it, but I don't like Shinsuke Nakamura anymore. Like, at all. He just doesn't do it for me anymore.
I mean, again, he's the Japanese male Asuka.
Yeah, he is, and there's no surprise. They came in at about the same time, with the momentum that they had at about the same, from basically the same place. And, yeah, and it's just, after so long, and really, when you think about it, Vince McMahon having that much control over those two really did hurt both of them in the long run. But
it is.
But then comes LA Knight, and then was there only one thing, Skylar, that gets a bigger pop than LA Knight?
And what's that?
That would be a table.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this. I did love the fact that Logan Paul was like, hey, yo, Priest, I'm tall, you're tall, let's work together.
Yeah, that was nice.
It was funny.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that, well, and then speaking of Weenie's Shire Cole, Pete Dunne gets out a cricket bat, and Cole's like, what is that, a club? Like, Wade Barrett's like, wow, you are stupid. But in any case, I have to... Go ahead.
Americans don't know what cricket is, so...
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, they hear crickets, but they don't know anything about the sport. And to be fair, I don't either. So that's an accurate statement. I do have to say, though, when Logan Paul got hit by Damian Priest, his selling of that punch was quite good. You know, Logan Paul knows how to sell, and you can tell that he knows how to sell.
I just want to know, like, with Logan Paul, like, how much training he's been getting and who he's been training with. Because whoever he's been training with deserves a fucking raise and a half.
Well, and I also think that a lot of it is coming naturally to Logan Paul, because you can tell that he's been a fan, and he knows the personality part of it, so he gets the gist of, like, what it should look like Even if the people who are marks for wrestling who got into the wrestling business have stopped making it look like that. But in any case,
man. Yeah, continue.
Well, in any case, I don't really have much else to say about the spots, except did you notice that these ladders were not made for breaking?
No, they did not have any give.
And I thought that actually made things look more devastating. It didn't look as much like spots the way that it was. However, that had to have hurt these guys. Like, that couldn't have been fun. And
this is one of those things where, like, I hope that, like, they, like, at least knew ahead of time how bad this was going to be.
Yeah, that they were going to get these different kinds of ladders. But, you know, it's not even just that, because I really do think that these matches now just feel so coordinated for my tastes, and it just takes me right out of the moment, because it always just feels like just a sequence of, okay, then you're doing this, and then we're going over here, and then we're doing this, and then we're going over here, and then we're doing this. And then it gets to this point of gratuity, and they try to do stuff that's like way beyond in the realm of necessary. And do you know where, I think you know where I might be going with this, Sky.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
So they do this, the 4 to 6 men on the ladders thing, which is very tired. I think that's kind of a stale spot where they get 4 people on 2 different ladders, and or the 6 of them or whatever. You know, I've just had enough of looking at that. They do it in every single Money in the Bank match. But they start pushing some of these guys over. Logan Paul and Ricochet get caught up and tangled in the ropes after getting knocked off the ladder, and they attempt to do a Spanish fly off the ropes onto 2 tables onto ringside. And boy, did it.
I mean, they got 1 table.
They got maybe like, yeah, but oh man, the first thing that ran through my mind, and I put in all caps, oh no. I was like, there is no point to do that. And then immediately after that, Dusty's thought came into my head and said, don't do shit you don't know how to do. And it's like, this, what was the point of this? This could have really seriously hurt both of these guys.
I mean, yes, but I mean, here's the thing. Ricochet and Logan Paul have great chemistry. They both know how to work with each other very well. I mean, the Royal Rumble spot, for example. And that's the thing, is that they're trying to create that viral moment that will get people talking. They almost got it.
Well, they sure would have gotten it if it had gone any more degrees the other way incorrectly. Or if they had gotten it actually correctly, but you could tell it hurt both of them. I mean, not even just because that was their time, you know, they were finished and that was their exit, stage right. But also because they did the camera shot that Kevin Dunn skipped away from immediately of Logan Paul's shoulder getting bladed. And, you know, he got, and that just said to me, that's why you don't do that shit. It's like that to me was like one step too far in a match that is full of stuff that's already too far. It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me anymore.
It doesn't give you the same rise.
But LA Knight is still every single time, all this dude had to do was look up and everyone was losing their minds. Everything he did, all he did was literally stand. There was one point in this match where all LA Knight did was stand up, and the crowd lost their shit. I'm like, holy Christ. This dude is ridiculous. But then the end of this match, this finish. Sky.
Yeah.
What did you think about this last spot? Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, describe the spot.
It was supposed to be a broken arrow. That is what at least Michael Cole attempted to save this as. But LA Knight went to, they was getting the briefcase, and Damian Priest got up and went to choke slam him, but he didn't, so he kind of just fell and stood, and LA Knight kind of just flipped over and just kind of landed on his, took just a regular bump, and then Damian Priest stood, and then Damian Priest went back up and grabbed the belt, and that was the end of the match. And it wasn't even the fact that LA Knight lost and Damian Priest won. I don't think that was my issue with it. It's just that after that spot, just that uncoordinated, get up and just give him a regular choke slam after that. Just give him something so it didn't look like you just completely, gave the Priest laxatives in the communion wine, and now he's got those robes are now a lot darker a shade of brown than they were the cream color that he did walking in there. It's just, to me, this did not work. Not because Damian Priest won it, but because the last spot was just a bad idea. It
should have just been a choke slam off the ladder, just to make it simple.
Yeah, it really didn't need to be like that. It really didn't, and it just took the edge off of the whole thing, and I just felt blah. And the fans also kind of felt blah. They weren't upset that Damian Priest won, but they just felt blah. Because I think of how that last spot went down, and then also it almost worked flip that Ricochet and Logan Paul did. So it just, I don't know. I thought this finish fell flat.
It's not surprising. It is what it is. I will say this. Damian Priest, we predicted at SummerSlam 2021 that eventually Damian Priest is going to be a world champion in the next 3 years, roughly. Man, they must like our talent evaluation, huh?
We're on pace. We are definitely on pace. And I think that they've chosen a lot of people. I find it very interesting. I think one Triple H may have enjoyed watching some of our fantasy programming once or twice as far as choosing stars of the future. But in any case, would you like to hear what Josh Again has to say about this match?
Tell me what Josh Again had to say about this match.
I will. Before I give my thoughts on the first match, I must commend the opening video package at the start of the show. Marvelous stuff. And that said, the premium Peacock horseshit sucks ass. Whoever thought it was a good idea to hide the storylines of most matches behind a paywall hates you and your dog. I don't have a dog. Our opening contest was a good opener in my opinion. It was much more tame than previous Money in the Bank matches because what the fuck else can you do at this point outside of legit paralysis? Well, they fucking tried that, didn't they? They attempted legit paralysis, so I don't know.
I didn't see anybody take any apron spots all night, so no, not really.
Yeah, they saved that. That was already a forbidden door. They did most of that. But seeing as how this was jerking the curtain off, oh yeah, daddy, I'm okay with them not doing all that much. Language Arts Night was clearly the most overdue in the match, and victims of Logan Paul's crypto scheme apparently bought all the tickets to the show. Crowd was hot, which elevated both this match and the show overall, which is true. I nearly shot my pantaloons during that botched Spanish fly by Ricochet and Logan Paul, and I'm glad they both survived that insanity. Seriously, who actually thought that spot was going to go well? Also, WWE's usage of Logan Paul was smart in this contest. He was basically in the big dog Roman/Charlotte spot of making the fans go, "Don't you dare win." As for Damian Priest winning, I'm glad he finally got something. As soon as this match went on first, I figured he would win. Unfortunate that Left Arm Knight didn't win, considering as how crazy over he is. Maybe Left Arm Knight will take the US title off of Theory, but a good opener nonetheless. I don't know if I really want to see LA Knight and Austin Theory. Do you?
If you're going to pair up LA Knight with a heel, that's the next progression, is getting him a belt. And Austin Theory is a good heel. I think it would actually help Theory in a way working with a vet like Eli Drake.
True. And I guess if you're going to try and elevate these championships, you might as well elevate these championships somehow. They're doing it with the Intercontinental belt, which we'll talk about in a little bit, although that match didn't really help. But we got one thing to talk about in between that. And I have no problem just kind of getting through this matchup as quickly as we can, because this was an abomination. This was the tag championships, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. What were your initial thoughts of this match, Sky?
I don't even feel bad for the women anymore. I don't even hate the women anymore. I just feel bad that they're put in these dumb situations. Except for Ronda Rousey. Still fuck that bitch.
Ronda Rousey is leaving. From what I hear is that she's done with WWE, and that's why she's working with Shayna, maybe at SummerSlam. And then she's going to, not fight in the UFC because all of the competition that she couldn't beat is gone. Well, I'm sorry.
Even if she does return, she's not exactly in shape to, fight.
No, she's going to get the shit kicked out of her. It's going to be hysterical. But in any case, Majin Rousey comes to the arena, and the second I saw that, I can't lie, I popped. Not because she was replicating that, but because I knew that that was going to piss off Josh again at the very least.
And it did.
And it did. It was, that's why we forced him to see that entrance. And that is the way that it went down. But truthfully, look, women's tag team wrestling is a good idea in theory. But name me a women's tag team that is a really good tag team. Name me a women's tag team that's a tag team.
Are we talking modern day or
I'm talking
past?
like right now. Because I'm not talking the Iconics. They're like one of the only ones that I can even come up with.
I would have said Moolah and what's her name? I can't remember her name at the moment.
Mae
The
Young.
other old woman.
Mae Young. Yeah, I don't know if that. I mean, way back in the day there were some tags, but yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. Liv Morgan, this whole concept of Liv Morgan just beating Ronda Rousey consistently is one of the dumbest.
It's hilarious.
It's the dumbest thing that, I mean, yes, it is funny for somebody who does not like Ronda Rousey like you and I do, but it is also one of the dumbest booking conceptions that Triple H has on his record. And if you have a UFC fighter, even if I don't like that person, you cannot have this little Bratz doll that came to life a la Pinocchio beating that woman. It's all the time. It's silly. It's actually silly. And let me ask you another question, Sky. What is Raquel Rodriguez's gimmick?
Big Latina woman.
I have a sexy back. I can flex my back muscles to look like the greater side of the Grand Canyon. Like,
Big Latina woman. That's her gimmick.
Yeah, well, seriously, it's literally like back flexing. That's her whole thing. But anyway, they get into this match. Everything Liv does sucks. Nothing looks like it connects. Nothing looks like it does any damage. She looks like she's doing a gymnastics routine badly. And then
I don't know why anyone's surprised at this point.
No, we're not surprised at this point. I'm surprised that we even have this match taking place, because then Ronda gets her after Baszler does work with the arm, and Ronda's literally just yanking her. She's yanking that arm. I'm surprised it didn't come out of its damn socket. Literally. The only thing that Liv has as a redeeming quality is that she can scream in pain very well.
Yeah, but after a while, you can only hear the soundtrack of screaming so many times.
Yeah, and it's very annoying. And the tagging in and out didn't really matter. I mean, they got on Liv, and then eventually Ronda comes back in. And did you notice, Sky, Ronda does an ankle lock in the worst possible position for the cameras to get it. They can't get a good look at her face. They can't get a good look at the ankle. They can't get a good look at Liv Morgan's face. They can't get a good look at literally anything from any of the camera angles, because Ronda Rousey has no goddamn awareness of her ring positioning at all. Or she just doesn't give a shit, which is what I expect at this point.
Yeah, it's very ironic that the last person that's supposed to descend from Kurt Angle is so bad.
Yeah. Well, it's not that surprising. Like you said. But as soon as then Liv makes her own comeback and cold tags Raquel. And she comes in and does like two things, and she's rendered ineffective for the whole deal because literally Raquel Rodriguez was the weaker of the two women in this matchup.
When you're a smiling babyface, you're not that strong unless you're sexy.
Yeah, and I find Raquel Rodriguez sexier than Liv Morgan. Just saying. I mean, I also have a thing for women who would squash me into a pulp, but that's something else. You know, that's something else entirely.
Yeah, but men like spinners. I can't tell you what it is. They just like spinners.
Well, but you know what I didn't like? Shayna Baszler has the Kirifuda clutch, and Liv Morgan powered out of it. Liv Morgan. So Shayna Baszler is just not able to do anything with anyone at all. And am I that to understand that she can't beat dough at this point? She can't beat eggs. She can't whip cream.
I think she can whip your cream.
Well, not if Liv Morgan can kick out of her Kirifuda clutch. Nah, just be able to stand up and take Shayna Baszler and twirl her on my finger like a Harlem Globetrotters basketball.
I know, it sucks. I'm joking, but in all seriousness, I just hate the fact that we have to value actual talented women for the sake of Liv Morgan's push. It doesn't surprise me anymore because of the way that they've done it.
They have made Shayna Baszler look like such a weak, pathetic figure when she was one of the most important people in the women's division post-Horsewomen in NXT. And look what they've done to Shayna Baszler since.
I mean, you don't mind if we spoil shit, right?
Well, I don't care.
And that's the thing, is that when they did this heel turn at the end, I didn't give a shit.
What didn't make any sense? There was no point. What was the point? There was no prompt for it. There was no predication for it. And I was just really and at this point, I was so sick of this match because Liv Morgan was Matt Jackson levels of powering through things. That's like, it's at this point, it just, Shayna just randomly defected. Ronda, you can tell Ronda's leaving, and now Liv has beaten Ronda 3 times. This sucked in a major way. And I'm going to be real happy if this does mean that we don't ever see Ronda Rousey again. I could only wish we were so lucky and Liv would join her.
I mean, come on. The problem is that she's still one of the most popular women in wrestling.
Is she, though? Faint praise. Real faint praise. Considering what the standard of women is now at this point. It's just...
That speaks more again to women's wrestling and how bad things are, that we don't have anybody that is a popular, like, super uber babyface. I mean, Bianca Belair was that until they, Bianca Belair, their babyfaces.
Yeah, well, until they made her female John Cena, and then she just didn't have the same level of overability as John Cena to prevent her from doing that. So...
the funny part is that they did a heel turn, which they never did with John.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, is that John was always able to be over enough to never have to turn, but they're turning Bianca, which I think, after you came up with the idea, they thought it was a good idea, so they decided to do the idea. But...
yeah, they steal another idea. What else is new?
Yeah, well, would you like to hear what Josh Gedden had to say about this match?
Sure.
Women's tag title match that I didn't watch. Fuck you, Ronda, for liking Dragon Ball Z. Stop trying to bait me like the New Day did at Mania 32. For you, the M doesn't stand for Majin, it stands for migraine, because that is what your matches give me. Hard pass.
By the way, we forgot to mention that we were all allowed one skip, as usual, for a match.
Yes, we were afforded one skip, and for the first time in, for the first time in a while, I think we all skipped different matches.
Yeah, we all had different reasons, which we'll get to when we get to what match you skipped and what match I skipped.
Yes, and part of me wishes that if I didn't love Gunthar so much, I would have skipped this match. Matt Riddle versus Gunthar. Yeah. If I love Gunthar, but man, do I not like Matt Riddle. Anyway, it is the Matt Riddle versus Gunthar for the Intercontinental Championship. What did you think about this match?
So, listen. I have a lot of explaining to do, okay?
Okay, please do.
I have a lot of explaining to do. I did everything I could to look past everything that I don't like about Matt Riddle, okay?
Me too, bud. Me too.
And I did my best to try to like this goddamn match. And I'm going to be honest, I did like this match. In terms of scientific, technical wrestling, this was the best technical match on the show.
Okay, I could give you that.
Now I will say this before I continue, just to get people back in. It's not because of Matt Riddle, obviously. Gunthar has a quality about him that elevates his opponents and gets them to get to his level for any match. He's just that special.
Yes, he is. Gunthar is that special. However, this whole night was sponsored by Bud Light, and so was Matt Riddle. If you know, you know. And he came out with these pink tights and these braids that made him look like an absolute moron. And Gunthar, and of course, the rainbow doves shooting out of his asshole, and the usual. But then they introduced Gunthar, and I love their entrance theme for Gunthar because it gives me chills every time. Every time I see that dude come out, I just get a chill up my spine. Oh, and how many people can you say have done that to you in recent years? Not many.
Brock Lesnar.
Brock
Lesnar.
There was a time, yeah. Roman Reigns at the beginning of this run. At the beginning of the Roman Reigns Empire days, but that was years and years ago. But in any case, here's the thing. Matt Riddle did Matt Riddle stuff. And it's fair for Matt Riddle to do Matt Riddle stuff because that, he's doing the leg locks and the arm bars and the kicks and the yee-yees and the whatever. But I love that Gunthar is just chopping and kicking his way out of submissions. And I love that. The powering out of just everything that Riddle is trying to throw at Gunthar and just stomping his shoulder and stomping his head and just If Riddle didn't look so damn ridiculous in this match, I would have maybe liked this more. But
well, hold on. I want to ask you a question. We didn't get the chance to talk about it because obviously we didn't get a chance to record after your show at Raw. You watched Gunthar in person, correct?
I've seen him a few times in person now, yeah.
Tell me how loud his chops are.
Well, it depends on where you are in the building. I think they're pretty loud. I mean, you can hear him pretty prolifically. It was the first match that he had. I don't remember who he wrestled in Bridgeport last year. I can't remember who it was, but I remember the chops being pretty loud on him. With Kevin Owens, he wears that t-shirt, so that kind of sucked up a lot of the chop. You still heard it, but it wasn't like the way it would be just meat on meat action. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't quite land the same way.
I think the match you're talking about was against Ricochet or something.
Yes, it was. You're 100% right. It was against Ricochet. And those chops were loud. Those chops were big and those chops were boisterous. But, with Kevin Owens, it was just hard because his gear is just different because he's a flabba-labba-dab-dab. And
hey, he's the wrestler that looks like me, and that's why I like him. Yeah, but again, beside that point,
well, you need a better tattoo than the weird cow one that he had for the longest time. If you're gonna get a tattoo, get a better one than that, Sky.
Okay, fair. But again, the point I bring up is that when Gunther chops or hits you or like whatever, it fucking hurts. And I'm sure the boys are having fun when they're taking it, but it fucking hurts.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And it always did with Riddle. And, you know, to the Riddle's credit, he threw a couple chops at Gunther, and Gunther just like, he just looked offended. And it was just like, he sold him, but he just looked offended and like, you dare chop me? And it was just some of the facials.
The way I viewed it was like, this is really weak as hell.
Yeah.
If you're going to hit me, at least hit me hard.
Yeah, so we don't talk enough about Gunther's facials. His facial expressions are just incredible, of just the way that he just like registers the fight. It's so good. And it was just...
I mean, if we're being honest, we all three of us unanimously have said that Gunther is currently the best wrestler in wrestling right now. He is currently the complete and total package.
Bar none. Yeah, he is the best. And Gunther is amazing. This match, as always, showcased that Gunther is incredible. And he can work with people that really are not amazing and still make a decent match out of it. I'm not saying this match was bad. It wasn't, because Gunther is amazing. But have you ever noticed that none of Matt Riddle's knees ever look like they actually make contact with anything? I have.
No.
And
yeah.
And then Riddle, he just could not sell that ankle for the longest time until basically the finish. And
I just love the ridiculousness of this finish for a little bit. Just Gunther starts chopping the flips. Like,
yeah, that made me laugh. That was like, all right.
I was like, if it was anybody else with Gunther, it would look stupid. But it even still looks stupid. But like, the way that he was doing it, it looked like it hurt. And then he got Matt Riddle to tap out
with a knee bar. Of all the things, like, he got him with a knee bar, and Riddle tapping to a knee bar. That was something I liked. I liked that, and this is something that's fascinating that they're doing with Gunther that they have not done with a lot of people. They are having him win in a lot of different ways.
And that's the thing, is that they're selling the fact that Gunther can win with almost any move. I mean, he has a quote-unquote finisher, but do you even know what that finisher is?
It's that power bomb, isn't it?
It was the power bomb, and then they did a move called Last Sympathy, which is basically like he picks him up and then he slams him down like a sidewalk slam, but from overhead.
Ah, okay.
But the point is, again, is that he's finished people with that clothesline like Sheamus at Clash and Castle.
Yep.
At WrestleMania, he power bombed Drew McIntyre on top of Sheamus.
Yep.
He's won with the power bomb. Now he's won with a knee bar submission. And again, the accomplishments. We got a babyface to tap out.
Yeah.
Usually in WWE, they have the babyface just pass out.
Yeah, well, lately, yes. Yeah, so that was worth doing. I mean, again, Gunther is amazing. Riddle did not have a shot in hell of winning this match. That was probably another part of it that I was like, okay. And at least with, like, Ali, at least with the match with Mustafa Ali, there was some hometown energy in that added to it. This just didn't have that. Riddle sucks. I don't know. I just don't like him anymore. He's lost favor with me, especially the braids really took away from it. It's just, Gunther is something incredibly special, but the
okay, I have an idea that I want to ask you.
Yeah.
What would have happened if they had taken Pete Dunne and put him against Gunther, and then just have Matt Riddle be in the Money in the Bank fire match?
That I would have liked a lot. You know how much fun Pete Dunne and Gunther would have been?
And with that crowd?
Yeah, that crowd would have been on fire for that. Especially if they let Pete Dunne be like Bruiserweight style Pete Dunne. Oh, Nelly, that would have been something.
I mean, there would have been no chance of Pete Dunne winning, but at least it would have been another Gunther versus the hometown hero.
Well, it's kind of funny because the name Bruiserweight Butch actually does not sound terrible. So you could honestly go with that if you really wanted to keep the Butch name and, you know, make something out of him. But, you know, you know what? Let's see what happens. You know, Triple H, we're back. So, you know, if you're listening, which
and you know who else is back? Big Daddy Drew.
That's right. That's right. And he got a pop and a half.
And again, he comes out to Gunther. Gunther shoves him away. Drew McIntyre headbutt, then Claymore kick. Rousey or Continental, although I didn't like how stupid his like little pose he does before he lifts the title up.
Yeah, but that's you know, that's from years before. But you know what? It doesn't really matter with Drew because I think that the proposition of what we should have gotten at WrestleMania that we're probably going to get at SummerSlam now of Gunther versus McIntyre, yes to all of that. Yes to that. What this meant made me totally okay with this.
I mean, again, we'll watch SummerSlam, and hell, that's a match I'm looking forward to.
Well, if they're the way that they're building this show, if they're building it the way I think they are, I'm gonna really like SummerSlam. Unless they do some stupid shit, which they very easily could, but like I don't know. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about what SummerSlam's card is turning out to be.
Yep. But, although, let's get what Josh again had to say about the match.
All right, so Intercontinental Championship match. Gunther is my new favorite wrestler. Sorry, Punky Brewster. Everything about him is cash money. And Matt Riddle was in serious mode for this match, which is always good to see. His match was more of a backdrop for the impending return of Drew McIntyre, but it was still solid action. Matt Riddle did a good job selling his injured ankle, and Gunther is a beautiful bastard. Bear my children, dude. Sorry, Andy. No joke, when Gunther started chopping Matt Riddle's ankle and then tapped him out with a heel hook, I damn near drop-kicked my TV because I was so hyped. I will turn my relationship with Andy into an open relationship for Gunther at this point. It's good to see Drew return, and I look forward to seeing these two huge dudes slap copious amounts of meat. Thumbs up for this segment. So, now that we've gotten into that realm of champions, we got to talk about somebody who is still not one. Cody Rhodes versus Dominik Mysterio. Well, Skylar, what did you think about this matchup?
Let's pair one of the best baby faces on the roster with one of the best heels on the roster, and let's have them just wrestle a standard match.
This, for my money, was probably like the best piece of business on the night. Just because it still... It shows that Dominik really isn't quite there yet, which is kind of the point of what they did, but this gives Dominik a lot of necessary experience for what he's doing. And again, Dominik is getting incredible amount of heat. He is holding up, and not to say he isn't holding up his end of the deal, but Cody was clearly leading this. And Dominik gets better with each one of these kinds of matches he's allowed to get on a premium live event. So, and Cody needed a resounding win against somebody like Dom, who should not have beaten Cody Rhodes. So, I think all in all, this was a pretty solid matchup between these two. Was it anything crazy? You know, did they tear the house down? Not really. But the house
they
was
didn't have to.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's kind of the point, is that like Dominik Mysterio is still in this phase and period where he needs more experience before they give him any other sort of like other pushes. It was good that Dom was able to work with Rey Mysterio and get that experience with his dad, but the real test of Dominik Mysterio was going to be seeing how he does against anybody else besides Rey.
And this was a good person to have do something with somebody else besides Rey to really get him into something. And Rhea Ripley did a limited amount, but I mean, it's kind of difficult having her out. I mean, it's great having her out there for how gorgeous she is, but like, without WWE allowing any level of like comeuppance or Cody being able to do anything to Rhea, it kind of defeats the purpose for Rhea being able to be there, because there's no way for Cody to get any sort of like pop on her behalf.
It should have been that she should have been kicked out of ringside at some point.
Yeah, because that way it doesn't feel. I don't know. It just that was my one little complaint. But like, I did like Dom's cow print boots. I guess the UK forgave Cody Rhodes for his promo against a Go-Go, where he went.
God damn it! I was gonna mention that. Fuck you.
Yeah. So well, don't
God damn it!
Don't get mad at me. Beat me to the punch next time. You know, happy 4th,
I was
ladies.
waiting until after you made your points. God damn it.
Happy Independence Day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm guessing I'm going to air this on the 4th, too, which is the funniest part. So, you know.
So, fuck you, Britain, is the answer.
No, well, apparently the UK was, they forgave Cody because he got a pretty good pop, too. They sang the hell out of his theme.
I mean, they sang the hell out of most themes.
They did. They did, but
you could put a White Knux album out there, and they would have sung your theme.
Yeah, well, I hope they do. And folks, don't worry, there will be an ad somewhere on this pay-per-view, on this channel, on this show at some point. I'm not going to tell you when it's going to be, but you will hear it at some point. But in any case, I love the fact that Dom is just great chicken shitting. He's just running away, and Cody's just dragging him back in. You know, and it all came together. I mean, I don't love the fact that they just kind of had Cody had to just grab him by the nape of the neck, and they both had to run together back to the ring. But, you know, this is one of the... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Sky.
I'll take my small victories where we can get them with Dominik. Again, much as I love him, he's still green.
Well, and I do have to. Well, that's not even Dominik's fault. That's kind of just a wrestling formatting fault more than anything else. Because a lot of wrestlers did that. Remember that match between Baron Corbin and Roman? It was that Falls Count Anywhere match where they basically just did that and they just walked the spots. You know.
Yeah.
It's just part of the vernacular now, unfortunately. But I will say this was one of the best exturbations I've seen in a long time from Dominik, and I'll tell you why. The UK was doing some dumb chant. I don't know what it was. They would do something silly where they were singing a song that they just switched the words with Cody Rhodes or whatever. And that's when Dominik decided to do the Three Amigos to kind of break that up and shut them up. And I do think that was done intentionally, and I do respect Dominik for choosing the right time to cap that off and nip it in the bud before they started getting raucous.
Don't you just love it when the exturbation fucks with the crowd?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the few times that it does. Most of the time, everyone's like, yay, Eddie Guerrero, he existed. So having it be a point where it actually got some heat, I was pretty happy about. And then Cody Rhodes starts making this comeback and does the airplane spin Alabama slam, or the Alabama Lama Bama Lama Lama Bama Lama Lama slam, or as Excalibur would call it, a water wheel.
No. He's not here.
He can't hurt you. He's not. Remember that one time when he said that and JR was next to him? He goes, remember what Bob Holly called it? And Excalibur literally was like, Alabama Slam. Yeah. I'd rather take Weenie Shire Cole any day of the week than Excalibur's horse shit. No.
Why'd you have to mention him, Sean? I was having such a good time. Now just like.
But Cody wins. It's okay. Cody wins. Excalibur's not here. He can't hurt you. He's here. It's Cody got the win, and it does help Dom along. And I don't think this hurts any of Dominik's heat either. You know, taking a loss.
Dominik is a heel that can easily get his heat back, no problem. This again was just a short feud to give him some experience with Cody Rhodes, and that's all it needed to be.
And that's all it needed to be. And sometimes it's the simplest stuff, which is the best.
Speaking of spitful, how about Joshua?
Well, Joshua here says Cody should be champ. Goddammit. Yeah.
There is a report that says that they are still planning on having Cody versus Roman be at Mania 40.
I know, and I'm sure we're gonna watch it, but you know, as it's been 3.5 months, folks, and I won't lie to you, I still feel like they missed their chance. I still feel that way.
They did, but I think, well, I mean, it depends on your mileage with Roman Reigns, but anyways, continue.
Well, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, back to Josh Geddon. Still don't understand why he isn't champion, that is. This was honestly a TV match that also kind of felt like this is what a big pay-per-view match feels like, Dom. Now, job. It was good thanks to the crowd, but the whole time I was like, where is Brock? And there was no Brock. So I was like, okay. But at least Cody gets a win on pay-per-view and Dom gets more big match experience. This was fine, but nothing really to write home about. Next, which is fine with me. I was okay with this. And then, I don't know about you, Sky, but I couldn't see most of the rest of this next segment.
Wait, how come you couldn't see it?
Well, because John Cena was there.
Oh. God damn it.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Oh, but you know what? The crowd came unglued when John Cena's music hit. And
I did too. I popped.
I was like, okay, I'm with this. And then I love this, like, you know what? I'm surprised because he's like, you like me, you really like me. It just worked really well. And God, can John Cena work a crowd?
I mean, there's no one else that can work a crowd like him.
I know, and it just reminded me too. And I do think that when John Cena was saying, you know, the guys in the back, they don't want to have a WrestleMania here, and they say, and John Cena goes, sometimes they think y'all are a distraction. And the very next camera cut from Kevin Dunn is a shot of this dude in literally elf ears and a Link costume. And just the timing of that. Some people say you're a distraction. Cut to the screaming elf fan in the front row. You know what? In all credit to Kevin Dunn, that was a good choice. That was a funny choice to make to get that camera shot in. That was good.
I mean, when John Cena is so good, he even makes Kevin Dunn do his job right.
That was too funny. And I need to get a screenshot of that dude in the elf costume. It's so funny. It just, I had to stop. Actually, I had to stop watching on that night so I could, sleep. But that's where I stopped it because I was just laughing so hard. And Cena was just killing it. And then...
I mean, that and also the fact that, like, you didn't want to watch Grayson Waller.
And then Grayson Waller came in, and this is the first time I've ever seen this dude. And Skylar, let me ask you a question. What is Grayson Waller?
Grayson Waller is a cocky, over-the-top, young Australian heel.
So, okay. Let me ask you something, Sky. If you've got John Cena, who's arguably one of the greatest on the microphone, in the ring, why would you send out, even if you're trying to get this guy over, why would you send this guy out to recite these lines at John Cena? And boy, did the fans feel like they were hearing recited lines pointed at John Cena.
Here's the hard part about this, right? You can tell what they're trying to do. They're trying to get to a point with him, Grayson Waller, where they can have him be kind of like that slimy, his Miz type heel, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, the Miz actually has some personality. And, you know, say what you want about what he says and what he does, but I would watch the Miz over Grayson Waller. I don't care how much better shape or how much better of a worker Grayson Waller is. I'm not feeling it at all. I'm not feeling it at all from Grayson Waller, and I he needs to go back to NXT and maybe get some of that personality he claims to have. Because I believe Austin Theory more than I believe this guy.
Well, here's the thing. Take a guess at how old Grayson Waller is.
25.
Not even close.
48.
Well, not even close, but in the opposite direction. In the middle, he's 33.
Okay, and I'm 31, and I've got more personality than that jackass.
But again, the point is that, like, Grayson Brawler, at this point, he is what he is. There may be a little bit more time for him to, like, develop a personality, but I think for the most part, we are seeing what Grayson Brawler is going to be on the main roster.
Well, maybe. I mean, anyone is capable at any age of reinventing themselves or making. Yeah, I mean, look at Dallas Page. He didn't even break in until he was 35. So, you know, you never know. I understand what you're saying, Sky. I mean, there is room for improvement, but I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Maybe it's just the way that he's being presented so far. Maybe because he looks like he's Baron Corbin from Australia. You know, I don't know. And John Cena...
It felt generic. It felt generic because it was like, okay, here's another young, quote-unquote, cocky, arrogant heel to come up John Cena.
Yeah, and it just didn't work for me. It doesn't work for me, brother. And then John Cena, he is so pale, goddamn. But it's all...
I wish he kept the shirt on.
Me too. But he did the FU, and everyone went crazy, and that was it. And the whole point was John Cena just working London to kind of get him to get WrestleMania into the UK. We'll see whether that happens, but I mean, the crowd was happy. It was a surprise John Cena segment that most people weren't able to see. So good stuff.
You hit me with it at the start, and you hit me with it at the end. God damn it.
I did. Would you like to hear what Josh Again had to say about it?
I don't know. Can you see his notes?
Yeah, he's not John Cena. He's Josh Again. If John Cena wrote Josh Again's notes, then I wouldn't be able to see them. But pointless John Cena segment. I skipped most of this. I came to see wrestling, not talking. And that right there is maybe one of the core differences between myself and Josh Again. that right there is because I come to see wrestling and talking. If it's good enough. John Cena, I will sit watch that cut that promo on any pay-per-view at any time. Grayson Waller, not so much. But in any case, we are now at the women's Money in the Bank. Io Sky versus Bayley versus Becky versus Zoe versus Trish versus Zelina. And Sky, this was the match I skipped. All
right.
Okay, let me tell you something. The first thing I wrote down when I saw the men's Money in the Bank, before the match even started, the first thing I wrote was, there's no way the women top it, don't even have to watch it, and I know that. And part of it is this whole 2 gimmicks, 1 show thing that I hate, and we've hated for years. Basically, since we started the podcast, we've talked about it, of doing 2 of these matches on the same card. It just does not work. And I didn't feel like watching women do what I already saw men do and got bored of, because I don't like the match with the men anymore. So why would I want to watch women who, on the whole, but on the whole, have a lesser talent to non-talent ratio than the men do things, no matter how good the finish is or who won the match. I can't get into these matches. And I'm not going to sit here and watch the women do it because I have no interest in it. I'm sure it was fun for the people who watched it. I heard a lot of people liked it. I'm happy for Io Sky that she won it. And I like the show of respect in London for Io Sky and the participants, but I wasn't going to do it, and I do not regret missing it.
Okay.
And now, please tell us how this match went.
So, and now that you have effectively cut me off at the knees, I don't think this was a bad match. I mean, the thing is that the women's Money in the Bank ladder match has also never been really good because of the talent that's involved and whatever. I will say this, at the very least, they made it different from the men's match in the way that it was structured. So it wasn't like a complete ripoff, because the men's match was just a car crash. The women's match had storylines going throughout it, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Apparently, Bayley is now a member of the Judgment Day.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that they made that little snafu.
Samantha Irvin is terrible.
Yeah, it's. I forget what I called it. Oh yeah, her new name is Betty Ball Squeezer. And because she's always just squeezing that fist to get those balls, to get her voice deep enough to make it sound. And she is insufferable. They did that at the Raw in Hartford. They did like a sign thing, like a sign cam, like they do at fan events, and like sporting events. And Samantha Irvin read out every sign, and read it out like an announcer. And at that point, Abizzle looks to me and he goes, "That woman likes the sound of her own voice." And we're going to talk about that when we get to Balor and Rollins. But yeah, I don't disagree with you, Sky. She's not that great. Betty Ball Squeezer can maybe, loosen her fist up a little bit.
Right, again. Whatever. Having said that, what made this match different from the men's match was that you had two pairings where they were working with each other. You had Trish Stratus working with Zoe Stark, and you had Io Sky working with Bayley. So throughout the match, there was this little thing where, like, Trish and Zoe were obviously working together to try and win the match, but also they were feuding with Becky Lynch, which had its own part of the match.
Right.
And then the other part was Bayley and Io. They were kind of like this tension between them that they're obviously teasing to the breakup of Damage Control, which I think is probably for the best at some point.
Yeah, please, at this point.
The reason why I like this is because besides Zelina Vega, who was just there to take spots, the other 5 women played a part in this match that was integral, which the men's match usually does not. Usually there's only 1 or 2 people in the men's match that matter.
Yeah.
In the women's match, besides Zelina, everybody else had a part to play in it.
Well, that's good at least.
And I will say this. There was the botched Spanish fly in the men's match. For the women's match, there wasn't an overt botch, quote unquote. I mean, there are several spots that looked like they were like... I mean, the way that they set up ladders always looks phony or fake or whatever. Especially when they do like ladder bridges or like they put ladders in between ladders and ropes or whatever. Or the ladder on the announce table.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just...
I mean, that's the thing, is that they do that like thing where I'm going to hit you and then I miss, but I happen to put the ladder in between the table, or I tried to hit you but I accidentally put the ladder onto another ladder.
Yeah, that's pretty constant that they do that shit.
I mean, that was the only part of the match I really took out. Like, the moves themselves were not the problem for me, because most of the moves in this match, for the most part, were pretty well executed. I will say this, those ladders do not give. I don't know what they did to these ladders, but they did not give whatsoever.
Yeah, I guess that was the same case. I wonder if maybe because they didn't feel like having many break, or maybe there's some different protocol in Britain about ladders. I don't know. It's a very weird thing because most of the time they have some give or flexibility, but these were rigid ladders. And I can only imagine how devastating it looked having the women splatter on them like it did with the men.
Yeah. Kind of in the same thing of John Cena. You have to appreciate the wrestlers of the early O's that were stars, because they're not going to be around that much longer. John Cena's one of them. Edge, Randy Orton, Bill.
Yeah.
But it's good to see Trish Stratus do her thing. And again, I think for Zoe Stark, it's good to have a mentor both on screen and off screen like Trish Stratus. I mean, if you're going to learn, you might as well learn from one of the best of all time.
Yeah, that was one thing I did like about the match between Becky and Trish, is that it really was I liked the idea that Zoe Stark and Trish were going to be a pairing, and that Zoe Stark, they wanted to do something with Zoe, and giving her someone to guide her like Trish is exactly what she needs. And I think that that's going to be, until the eventually gets that student turns on the teacher moment, because I'm imagining this is kind of like a heel 2 and TA situation that they're planning on having with them. Knowing how much Triple H is a student of the game, and he knows a lot of the territory stuff and the good things that came out of it. So, who knows? I'm excited for them, and I'm excited that they're still wanting to make something out of Zoe Stark, because I think there is something there if they play their cards right.
Right. And again, Trish still retains her smoothness in the ring. It's not as fast as it used to be, but I mean, come on. We're talking about someone who's 47 and still looks fantastic.
Yeah. Well, hey, Moolah was taking table bumps at 73 by Bubba Ray Dudley. So, age is just a state of mind in the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah, but, I mean, come on. Moolah was out of her fucking mind.
Well, yeah, fair. Well, so was Mae Young, but they were also tough gals. They don't make them the way they made Moolah and Mae Young. And, that's different class of women right there.
The one thing that I did see that kind of did take me out of the moment, besides the obvious setup of ladders, was the fact that Zoe Stark had handcuffs. Put one of the handcuffs like she was about to on Becky, and then they closed on her, and then she was like, oh shit, I need to go get the key to unlock it. So she had to go get the key while Trish Stratus was distracting them by being up Becky, because Zoe forgot to actually handcuff the thing to the rope.
Oh.
So it's one of those things, they don't work with handcuffs that much. When you close that shit, well, you need the key to open it, and they threw the key away, so Zoe had to go back and get the key.
So Zoe had the where did the handcuffs come from? Because that was the one question I had is why do we even have handcuffs in a Money in the Bank match?
They grabbed it from underneath the ring.
Why in the country fried titty fuck were there underneath the ring?
The only explanation I can say is that they probably planned it ahead of.
Yeah. Oh. Well, of course they planned it ahead of time. Exactly my point. Exactly my. That makes no. That's why that was part of why I was like, okay, even if you're gonna do some sort of handcuff spot, have Trish Stratus slap a female cop and take the handcuffs or something. A security guard, for Christ's sakes. It would have
been better, honestly, if they had at least had the handcuffs on them.
Yeah, it's just, come on, guys. You're not even thinking as to do that. Just underneath the ring is, the biggest cop-out of where'd you get that? And
I know, why would a cricket bat be underneath the ring?
Yeah, except for, it's a spot that'll pop the marks, which it did because the whole arena was full of them. It's just...
The point is that they do put the handcuff on Becky. Becky does fight out of it, does a manhandle slam on a ladder with Trish Stratus. Ooh.
Which did not look that great, by the way. I did see the replays, and they replayed that, and I was like, oh, okay.
But anyways, the point is that Becky is climbing the ladder. As she's climbing the ladder, in comes Bayley to stop her. They get halfway up the ladder, and then Io Sky proceeds to handcuff Becky to Bayley. This was after, by the way, where Io had a chance to win, and Bayley pushed the ladder off of Io, so that way she couldn't climb up. So this was Io paying back Bayley, who can't go up, and Io climbs over Bayley's body to get the briefcase and win the match.
Which is fine. I mean, it's clever finish, different. And again, I am happy for Io Sky. I hope that she succeeds. God forbid, not against Rhea Ripley. I'm thinking more against Asuka, or whoever is holding that other
probably
championship.
Charlotte.
Or probably Charlotte, but I think Io Sky and Charlotte could put on a hell of a matchup if Charlotte's motivated enough. It's just everyone's so sick of Charlotte being Charlotte that, what are you going to do? But again, it sounds like it would have been fun for the people who were pleasantly surprised about it.
Yeah. I agree.
Would you like to hear what Josh Geddon had to say?
Sure.
I was fucking dreading this match. These are never good, but lo and behold, this was actually kind of decent. Wow. Well, I may have called that one there. The men's Money in the Bank was better, but this wasn't half bad. And honestly, I think it's because there were only 6 people involved, and 5 of those people are talented, and Zelina is just there. That is sadly how this match sounds like it was booked, but considering how well that Zelina and Rhea match went, don't knock Zelina like that. She's still got a lot of talent. It's just
listen, the biggest pop for Zelina, at least for me, was the fact that Michael Cole mentioned Amazing Red was her cousin.
Which is enough to pop. That's enough. That's a big enough pop. And also, when she was in Puerto Rico and they had, the whole spiel there, that was another big one for them. So I'm really happy for, that Zelina at least had her moment in that respect, even if she's not going to get one ever after this. She was Queen of the Ring once, remember?
How could we forget?
Yeah, how couldn't we? The less traffic, the better. Decent spots. Some a little slow moving, but hey, I'll take a somewhat slow spot over a rushed one where someone gets hurt. And everyone had a moment to shine, except Zelina, who got pinned under a ladder at a point and could not lift it off of herself for at least 2 minutes while people were doing spots around her. Tiny Woman Syndrome is top-tier comedy. Honestly, the main thing I didn't like was that Bayley, newest member of the Judgment Day, should never wrestle in the UK again. The stupid fucking songs that the British incels of England Incorporated won't stop singing at her is a curse. I hate the UK. I'm glad we won the American Revolution over these posh cocksuckers. Yeah, they're not mad at Cody, they're mad at Josh Geddon. The finish of this match was brilliant as Bayley turned on Io, proving her allegiance to the Judgment Day and not to Damage Control. Which prompted Io to use the handcuffs on Becky that were brought up by Zoe and Trish to bind Becky and Bayley through the ladder, making them unable to ascend. Io was the right person to win, and I'm glad Damage Control is dead. Bayley must be exhausted being in 2 factions at the same time. Yeah. So, you having fun yet, Sky? You happy we're back yet, Sky?
I mean, I am. It's just, again, Josh, I hate when he tells the truth.
Well, I don't know whether he does a lot of the time. He tells his truth. But in any case, yeah, speaking of where my opinion and Josh Geddon's opinion will probably not be further apart, we have come on to the World Heavyweight Championship match between Seth Franklin Rollins and Finster Balor. Skyler,
okay.
Tell me what you thought about this match.
I don't have a thought. I didn't watch it.
Well, tell us why this was your skip then.
Listen. I know Ronda Rousey is a terrible person and a terrible wrestler. It's still funny to watch her when stuff happens. I know that the women would have a bad women's Money in the Bank ladder match. It's still funny to watch it. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor just don't do it for me. I've seen it way too much, way too many times. I know what the match looks like. Everyone has this one match pairing where these 2 wrestlers are going to wrestle each other over and over and over again. And people are going to love it, and people are going to hate it. And either you love it and you want to watch it again, or you're going to hate it and you're going to watch it over again. Mine is John Cena versus Randy Orton, because I love John Cena. Yours, for some strange reason, is Kurt Angle versus Jeff Jarrett.
Okay, no, that was my alternate. Now, granted, I do love watching Jeff Jarrett and Kurt Angle tussle. They do have a hell of a chemistry together. I would also argue that I love watching anything Midnight, but really Midnight Express and 2 and TA. I've watched those matches in Mid-South and that whole feud like so many times. They just had such a good chemistry of feuding together. It was just great. It was great stuff. But I watched
but the way I'm talking is I'm talking about like matches and feuds that went on for way too long, for too many years, over and over and over again.
I'm sure someone likes Roman and Brock.
Mr. Wrestling 2 versus the Midnight only was what, one time in a couple months?
It was several months. There were a lot of matches, but several months between that feud.
But what I mean is that like matches that you see over and over and over again, WWE is especially guilty of this with like The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler.
to Flair and Sting. How many times did we see those two fight? Hogan and Piper wrestle a whole bunch.
I mean, it just depends on if you have any attachment to the wrestler, one of the two wrestlers involved, or both wrestlers. The point, again, is that I've seen Finn Balor and Seth Rollins wrestle way too many times. I don't have any interest in seeing it anymore, especially because I knew Finn Balor had no realistic chance of winning, honestly. And again,
yeah,
I love me some Seth Rollins, but I am not willing to watch and sit through another Finn Balor match with them when the stakes are literally for the Super Intercontinental Championship. Listen, Joshua, I know you love Finn Balor, but he's wrestling for the Super Mid-Card belt at this point. Gunthar's title feels more important than what Seth Rollins is wearing around his waist.
You're not wrong. And, you know, all things considered, I know you couldn't have this on after Roman Reigns, but if you're really trying to help the credibility of this belt, don't you think it would have been better to have it on after Roman Reigns? I don't know. I know you can't, right? I know you can't because it's the Bloodline. You can't have anything other than the Bloodline and a show. I get it. But it's just, I don't know. It's Balor and Rollins for the Workhorse Championship. Here's the thing. I think that the Finster streaming channel is more interesting than Finn Balor. And that's a guy who lives in the UK or in Scotland who's a dude who dresses up like a girl and plays video games. And he is more entertaining than Finn Balor by quite a lot. And he's more intimidating too, because here's the thing. I just cannot get into Finn Balor. I have tried for years, but his matches do nothing for me. Nothing looks like it hurts with him. And I know he's trying. It's not that his matches are bad. I will say there was one move that he did, a gut punch to Seth Rollins' big hashtag that he put on his gut, because it's like, that's where my ribs hurt. He got one good gut punch right into it, and I was like, okay, that was good. But here's the problem. Seth Rollins comes in with this music, which the fans never sing correctly, by the way. Have you ever noticed this guy?
I mean.
So here's a little music lesson for y'all. So Seth Rollins' music goes, oh, whoa, oh, whoa, whoa. But everyone just goes the first three, oh, 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 because they're lazy and they're boring and they're fans and they're fat. And they can't sing.
Whoa, why didn't you say they're fat, man?
Hey, it's not my fault that struck a nerve.
You have something against fat fans.
No, I don't. And Skylar, you're like PHAT. You're cool, bro. You know, you're like mid-90s cool. Like King Mabel cool.
Oh.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're easily LOD 2000. Easily.
You called me King Mabel fat. God damn it.
No, I said you were King Mabel cool. You were King Mabel PHAT. You were late mid-90s cool.
Well, at least that means I'm going to be getting the girls after the day.
That's right, because Leslie...
King Mabel didn't get with the Godfather's hose.
That's right. You know, and if you ever listen to King Mabel's theme, it actually sounds... The remix they did for Big Daddy V actually did have a little bit of an homage to the King Mabel track in it, if you listen to it. But you know what? I'm getting more interested in King Mabel than I am in this match, because here's the thing. Rollins comes in and the crowd does this bad singing, and Seth just stands there on the apron with his arms out, his back turned towards Finn Balor, and Finn Balor just looks there kind of mad at him. And here's the deal. If you are so mad about this, that you've been festering in this for 7 years about getting this championship match, while Seth is literally standing there, not looking at you, on the apron, just listening to the crowd sing his theme incorrectly. Punch the bastard! Hit him from behind! Do a hot damn start! If you're so mad that you spilled your chalky milk, then fucking start this shit hot. But no, he just sits there with his little grumpy leprechaun face. And Swoggle had more entertaining matches than Finn Balor.
Okay, that's way too far, man.
No, that's not far enough. It's actually about 4 foot. It's actually about 2.5 feet short, if I'm telling you the truth. No offense, Swoggle, you're my homie. But in any
Josh
case,
again is going to be real pissed at you after this review.
Oh, good. I'm going for the deepest mental scar possible. And in any case, but here's the thing. Finn Balor just sits there all Grumpelstiltskin-like, and he gets all mad. And the whole point of this was just so that Betty Ballsqueeze has to get her shit in. That was the whole reason that didn't start, because after Samantha Irvin comes in and clutches her testicles and goes and walks away, they start hot. It's like, why couldn't you have just done it when he was just standing there? And you could have actually started this hot and the crowd got into it. But instead, they calmed everybody down. They got everybody mellow. And it completely killed the energy of the whole thing. And from that point, it kind of just I was just in and out of the whole thing. It was okay. It was okay. I was half paying attention. I was more invested in the Skyrim dungeon that I was also going through at the same time that I was in this. And it was all right, but then Rollins starts doing some comeback stuff, and now we're going into pet peeves. They do this thing.
What, we weren't doing that before?
Oh, no, yeah, well, here's fucking Shorty Irish McGurk here, this frog-faced fuck, and he's going over, and Seth Rollins tells him to come on, hit me more. And so Finn Balor goes over there and he goes punch, 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 knee, kick, kick, kick. And he stands up and he turns and looks away from his opponent, turns all the way around and walks to the opposite end of the turnbuckle to set up the next move that he's going to try to do. The reason I hate this is that one of the things that should never do in an actual fight is turn your back on your opponent. Bad move. Bad call. And this is not just Finn Balor that does this. I don't want to make it sound like I'm just exclusive on Finn. A lot of people do this. A lot of people do this where they'll beat somebody up and then 2 seconds later turn their backs to their opponent. What I would do in that situation, you beat him down, you beat him down, you beat him down, you wait for the referee to back you up. You're backing up into that corner. Then you make it sound like someone in the audience said something so you can turn your body to the left at least. Turn your body and, acknowledge whatever was going on there if you're trying to get some heel heat, but you're never turning your body all the way so your back is facing your opponent. So then you can still do your corner move while you're getting there while not being stupid. And it kills me every time people do it, and Finn Balor did it, and again, I'm just like, I'm also one of those people who's trying to find excuses not to like Finn Balor. I acknowledge that. I'm aware of that. But it
doesn't help that the match is not doing anything to change your opinion one way or another.
Well, because to your point, Josh, or to your point that Josh again does not understand, this is the same match we've seen them do. This is the same one. They did the same spots. They just kind of moved them around a little bit. And again, I love me some Seth Rollins. I do, especially lately. He got over with me in the past 6 months or so because of just how silly he is, but how much he owns it. And the coup de grace is just, it's the worst finish in wrestling. A double stomp is just so dumb. I just don't, I hate it. I just hate it. I've always hated it. I will always hate it. And I've seen that counter from the coup de grace to the stomp to the roll up to the roll through every match they do. And I'm like, wow, I've seen this before. That's literally what I said, is I've seen this before. And then Then Kevin Dunn comes in to make this match that much better. Kevin Dunn on the run-in, because they go to the announce table, and Kevin Dunn and the switch guy who's working the soundboard have the camera mics up all the way, as well as the commentary on so that the people at home can hear it. So you heard this in the main event too. They have it in the main event as well, that this happened. Because they get close to there, but they don't turn the camera mics down so that you're just getting the Cole and Wade Barrett, or they're not leveling it, so you're hearing stereo Michael Cole. And he's doing like this echo thing because the mics are too close and the switchboard has both of the audios overlapping. And they didn't bother to try to fix it. And so then Damian Priest comes out as Finn Balor has the match won. And he goes, oh, I could cash it in. I could cash it in. Look at me, I could do it. And the crowd goes, cash it in, cash it in. And Priest is like, I could cash it in. Look at me standing here. You see that? Look at me standing here. And then Finn Balor goes for another coup de grace. Priest kind of runs up like, oh, am I going to do it? And Balor goes, oh, what are you doing there? I'm on top of the rope. And he goes to jump off. It doesn't work. He gets stomped. Cover 1, 2, 3. Rollins wins. Priest doesn't cash in, but Seth, is Waluigi. Seth Waluigi's his way out. Finn Balor's all butt hurting them Gurk because after he cost Damian Priest on the episode on Hartford I went to for the World Heavyweight Championship, now Damian Priest has cost Finn Balor his World Heavyweight Championship opportunity. And now the Judgment Day is getting broken up, and hopefully Finn Balor will be replaced by Bayley, and Bayley will actually improve the group. Listen, I'm all for Priest and Seth Rollins. Give me more of that. I want to see more of Priest and Seth Rollins. I liked what they did during that show in Hartford. But Finster is never going to do it for me, ever. Full stop, end of story, goodbye, the end. Any questions?
I have one.
Please.
What did Josh again have to say?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear what he had to say. I love Seth, but this gimmick of the fans singing his song for 3 hours is getting old. Similar to the Intercontinental title match prior, this was more a backdrop to the developing story with Priest. Not sure how I feel about that being done twice on a single pay-per-view, but this was obviously a storyline progression show, so I'll allow it. I very much like the intensity of this match, especially at the beginning. Also, Seth turned an attempted Pele kick into a pedigree was dope as fuck. And I like that Damian cost Finn the same way Finn cost Damian on Raw. And I'm not sure where we go next. There's no clear roadmap yet, and I dig that. Someone is getting tossed out of the Judgment Day, probably Damian, and being replaced by J.D. McDonald. Please don't. Again, this was more intrigue than match, but I enjoyed it. So, now we're in the main event. Main event time. It is the Bloodline Civil War, which I got in-ring intros for no reason. What did you think about this match, Skylar?
Okay. I love Roman Reigns. You know me. I love it. I love Roman Reigns.
I do.
I am beyond tired of Roman Reigns matches. The Usos, I've never loved any of their matches because the Usos are just backslap city. That's all they are.
Yeah, everyone was guilty of that in this matchup.
Yeah, but let's be clear. They're the ones that make it there. When I think of backslaps, I think of the Usos.
Yeah, no, you're right. I can't dispute that.
I just really, really have a hard time with this match because this is not a match. Okay. This is a Roman Reigns style match. Listen, I know Seth Rollins is the modern day HBK and that his matches all look the same, with the same moves done in the same way and the same exact timing.
Well,
you can set your watch to Roman Reigns and what way that he wrestles his matches. Because every single match of Roman Reigns has the same interference with the referee, has the same stupid spot where they, get the person in and they like, okay, here's the spot where I'm going to talk, and they moat for a little bit. They do the same thing over and over and over again.
They moat for a lot bit. It was excruciatingly long in this matchup, I thought.
It always is.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The first thing I wrote down on my notes was this should be long, dramatic, and acted after about 15 minutes of match. Did I pretty much nail that presumption or what?
It's not like it's that hard to predict. Again, Roman Reigns matches are paid by the numbers, by the book. You know what he's going to do when he's going to do it.
Well, I will say this. Say what you want about Jeff Jarrett versus Kurt Angle or the Jeff Jarrett reign of terror, but Danny Angles knows how to take a ref bump so many times because of Jeff Jarrett training him so much. So be thankful for the referee you have to be able to accomplish such means.
Yeah.
It's not Danny Angle's fault. That was former Rudy Charles, by the way. That's who Danny Angles is, but he's just using his real name. I didn't even know that Rudy Charles was a gimmick name. And then that also begs the question: why are you gimmicking your referees' names?
I don't know. Probably back in the territory day when a referee made a bad decision, they had to protect the referee and make sure that like people didn't go to his house or whatever to burn him alive.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the fair point. Fair point. But this was a long time before we even got into this matchup, and I do like the fact that we did get a hand tag by the Usos, at least to start. But
did they ever tag the hand ever again after that, though?
No, they did not. No, they did not.
Okay, I thought so.
Nope, but they had one, which is more than normal, so it was worth noting. And
come on, that's like telling your kid, okay, this time I want you to make sure that you don't wipe your butt with your hand, that you use toilet paper. I'm so proud of you for finally not smearing shit all over yourself. Okay, and then they mess it up again the next time they get.
Okay, a similar comparison. Let's say that you're the Cleveland Browns, and you've lost 30 games in a row, and then you win one. Are you going to say, hey, you lost 30 games in a row, or, hey, I'm really happy that you finally won one? So, yeah, I don't know. Yes,
but at least the Cleveland Browns are adults, question mark?
Well, they're adults, but they're not very smart adults. But that's a story for another time and another hotel room. But in any case...
Whoa.
Allegedly, I don't know anything. I don't read, don't follow someone else. Anyway.
I know nothing.
Yeah, and literally. Well, speaking of... one of my favorite parts of this match was Paul Heyman covered in belts. Grima worm-tonguing Roman Reigns into a rage.
Yeah, but here's the question. Roman Reigns only has one pair of black pants and one pair of red undies. So why does he need 3 belts?
Well, because he has 3 different pairs of those red undies and those black pants. They're the same pants, but he's got multiple copies of those pants.
Oh. God damn it.
Although, for as much as he wrestles, it could just be one pair of pants. But he hardly wears any of those belts ever. But
yeah.
In any case, I didn't have a whole lot of things to write down in this match because, like you said, Sky, we've seen all of this. It's like it's all the same guys doing the same stuff in the same situations, paced the same way. And it just would not end. And again, another formatting issue. And this is not exclusive, again, not exclusive to the participants involved in this matchup. We've seen this constantly. Every tag match that has ever been more than 5 minutes in pro wrestling lately has have to have both sides line up and have the battle lines be drawn and do the damn Mexican standoff so then they can hockey fight each other afterwards. I hate it. I will always hate it. I will never not hate it because it's done constantly.
But it's the Bloodline Civil War.
Well, I hate it. Well, it was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos, and they did exactly this. The 10-man tag did exactly this. The 6-man tag at Forbidden Door did exactly this. Like, they all do it. Every match. It's like, how many times have we seen that at Survivor Series?
Every time.
Every damn time. It's like, it's just... It's a formatting issue for me. Can people not structure these matches without doing that? It's not. Well, first
apparently
of all,
not.
They're making them far too long anyway because we're doing 2 comebacks to begin with. But that's what happens when you do matches that go on way longer than they need to and overcomplicate them. And I did like the counter with the guillotine though, with the splash that we've seen before. More than once.
I mean, a lot of this was a throwback to, like, moments in Roman Reigns' history. Like, they did a lot of callbacks to different stuff that's happened throughout his title reign, which I appreciate long-term storytelling, but quote-unquote.
Yeah, and, you know, personally, I feel like this match could have well, after the double Uragi, but after the double Uragi, I personally think that the match could have very easily and should have very easily ended with the spike spear. And I know, why would you hurt the Usos in that respect? But I'm like, because there's more pay-per-views down the line to work with. You know, but again, I loved that spike spear as a double finish, but then they kept going, and they kept going, and I was like, this match will not end. And you know, I came to a conclusion, Sky.
What's that conclusion?
As much as I think that Jay and Jimmy are good at their little acting spheres that they do during the soap opera stuff they do on weekly television, the Usos are the Samoan Bucks.
I mean, they wrestled that style.
They wrestle the exact same way. They just are better at selling a little bit and better promos. But they are essentially the Samoan Bucks. And I'm kind of just over them in general. Like, if this means that they're no longer involved in Roman Reigns stuff, I'm actually going to be happier to watch Roman Reigns stuff.
Although this does, because of the fact that they were harping on the fact that Roman Reigns had not been pinned or submitted in 3.5 years, the fact that Jey Uso was the one to do it kind of points to a match between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns at SummerSlam.
Which is fine, but I don't think that Jey Uso's winning the belt.
Oh, absolutely not. He's not going to. But this is the type of matchup set up for SummerSlam.
Right. And you know, I think that'll work in Detroit, but it's just hard because I think now, because of what we were alluding to earlier about, you know, WrestleMania 39 being the chance, I think that when they get to that main event, they're going to find the crowd's not going to be as invested as they want them to be in it, because they know that there's no shot in hell Jey Uso's walking away with that belt.
Yes, but it's probably going to be the way that they, like, set up anything else in WWE, is that they'll get people excited no matter what. Like, these people that are watching WWE are the hardcoreiest of the hardcoreiest.
Well, and to be fair, they are getting more people to watch because of this Bloodline storyline. You know, there are more people tuning in than there were before. The ratings have exemplified that. I'm not trying to knock that. It's just...
And that's partially why I think they have to try and extend it as long as they can. Listen, we are a long ways away from Mania 40, and even the possibility of someone like Cody Rhodes taking the title off of Roman. They have to come up with challengers for Roman Reigns before they get to that point. And I think this is probably the best stuff they can do, having Jey go up against Roman. And again, it fits in the narrative that they have set up.
It does. I'm not saying it doesn't. And it was a hell of a crowd pleaser. The crowd went nuts when the Usos won, especially with when Solo stacked them on top of each other and they got that near fall. That was big too. But then it just kept going and going, and they did the table. By the way,
which was a tribute to when Roman Reigns beat Daniel Bryan and Edge at Mania all those years ago.
Yeah, and I did notice that. It just went too long, and then Cole wouldn't shut the fuck up. That was the other part of it. During the whole ending thing, Cole would not shut up, and I'm like, you're kind of ruining this, Cole. And this reminds me a lot of the way you were, back when, somebody else was still running the show. No, I'm sorry, back when Vince is still currently running the show. And it's just, I don't know. It was okay. The whole thing was okay, long, but it left the crowd happy, and the crowd was hot all night, which did help the feeling of the show, but I don't know. I feel just as tired with it as you do, Sky. I guess
there is going to be a thing where I hope after this title reign, whatever happens, that Roman Reigns goes away for a long time.
I think he will. Because I think he's going to end up with more of like a John Cena setup after this Bloodline story ends.
Especially if the rumors of him going to Hollywood are true, like I hope that Roman Reigns, as good as Roman Reigns is, takes a long break, because this is getting to points where, like, okay, I don't care anymore who beats you or who doesn't. When it happens, I'll be finally happy, but the payoff is not going to be worth it.
It just needs to be over, not we're excited as to when it's going to end. It just now needs to be over. And that was my thing. It's like everything in me still tells me to this point, they missed their chance. They had it lined up and they missed their chance. And I know why they did it, but I still don't know why they did it. Because it's like...
They did it because they thought they could go longer with Roman Reigns on top. And again, the ratings are clearly showing that they do have something there with Roman.
True.
I mean, the Bloodline stuff is interesting to people.
Yeah, I can't dispute that. And you can tell how much Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn do not feel as important now that they are out of that Bloodline story.
Which it was kind of cheeky to have them be there, talk about the match and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to have them show up and then play Sammy's music so Owens will get upset for the inevitable. You want to talk about matches people get tired of seeing because you've seen a bajillion of them. When we, once again, get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against each other, which they're already teasing. It's,
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm still going to watch that match.
Yeah, me too, but there's going to be far more hockey fights than I want, and it's going to go on for too long, and they're going to do absolutely everything. But that's for a story at a different time. You want to hear what Josh again had to say about the main event?
Yeah, tell me what Josh again had to say about the main event.
I will tell you. Blah, blah, blah. What are we, drafted people? I forgive the UK for the... I forgive the UK for the stupid Bailey song because Tribal Wanka is hilarious. Also, this was the best thing on the show. The callbacks, the double spear by the Usos, the slight teasing of Solo possibly getting sick of Roman's shit, the hilarious noise the ref made off the ref pump, yeah, that was funny. Everything. Yes, it was slow and milked so hard that the cow was turned inside out and is now just a mass of coagulated flesh, but I personally enjoyed it. But dude, the pop when the Usos kicked out of the spear spike combo. That near fall was wild. Favorite part of the entire show. And Jay winning by pinning Roman is perfect, and everyone played their parts to perfection. Awesome main event. Everyone played their parts. Yeah, that basically says it, doesn't it?
Is it sad that you have to describe wrestling in that context, in that way?
It is. That's the way it is, because, the Bloodline is, the days of our lives, but wrestling. And that's just the way that it is. And... in any case, let's get to ratings here, and why don't we start with Josh again and hear what he had to say, and then we'll figure out where the scale is gonna finally end up. WWE is on a good pay-per-view streak right now, debatable. It's crazy that we haven't had a single bad pay-per-view all year. Skylar, don't say a word trying to be positive for 5 seconds. It's actually me you have to contend with, bud. While this was clearly a setup show for SummerSlam, this is not necessarily a bad thing. I was very much entertained by this show, and nothing offended me outside of the stamp on Ronda's head, so I know that Babidi has been given her orders. Is this one of them? I'm sorry, I don't drag in the balls. No, I drag my balls, but that's something else. Is this, you know, because they're so big, you know, it's hard to find pants. Is this one of them trying to annoy me because of him, or is this the same old story between you and me? Which one? I don't get these references. Answer me, Ronda. Do you let yourself be a slave? Does he look like a bitch? Then why you try to fuck him like a bitch? I give this show a solid 7.5 out of 10, and I'm interested in SummerSlam. Also, be sure to subscribe to the Court-Martail podcast, or you ain't Little John, ho. Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. It's Josh getting out.
What are these references?
All right, well,
oh my god.
Well, to be fair, I added the Samuel L. Jackson ones in myself, but still. In any case, so 7.5 out of 10. I think that's relatively generous, but what would you grade this shindig, Sky?
I want to know what Josh again is smoking so I can have some of that too, because that sounds like some great shit right there.
Well,
he's not wrong in this sense, in that, like, we have been on a string of good pay-per-views. Like, Backlash was a good show. It wasn't perfect, but there was a lot of energy with that crowd, and it was enjoyable. Same thing with Crown Jewel. Same thing with this one. It does prove that the American market has been saturated so much, and going to international crowds that don't get WWE shows as often has proven to be smart.
yes, absolutely. It does help the energy of the shows tremendously.
The actual content of the shows has varied, though, although for the most part, they're doing the right things. They're doing the things that a good booker would do if questionable. I mean, given if you had no choice but to have Roman Reigns remain as your champion, this is the direction that most people would have gone.
Sure.
I don't think this is, again, it's a B pay-per-view, so there's going to be an inherent limit on what this show can score. I do think this show, for what it was good, and that's all I can ask for at this point with WWE, because who knows where they're going to go in the future. With that in mind, I give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree with you, Sky. I gave it a 6 as well, because it's this concept of Money in the Bank. I'm just done with. I'm just over it. I'm just done with it. I'm tired of the matches, the kinds of matches they are. But it's amazing what a hot crowd can do to kind of allow you to look past certain things, which I was able to do at some point, and some I wasn't. I mean, there was nothing egregiously bad, except, well, okay, the women's tag was kind of egregiously bad, but that was for any number of reasons. But the thing is, it's just that it felt like a show that was fine for what it was. But is there anything on this that you're going back to watch?
No.
And that's just it. It's fine. It's there. It's a dandy show. And I gave it a 6 as well. I think it was an okay show with a really good crowd, and it was appropriately sponsored. So say whatever you will about that, but that's how I'm going with that show. But it's been quite a show that we've been throwing on together, Sky, that we've debuted or re-debuted, and I don't know what our schedule is going to be like, but it is nice to at least be back, at least on the interim, and it's always good reviewing some good old-fashioned wrestling with you, Sky.
It was good to have some time off, and I'm going to be honest, we both needed it because we've been going through things, and that's the reason why we haven't been recording recently. But now that we've gotten things settled down a bit, I'm looking forward to getting back to the saddle with you.
Yeah, and we'll see just how far things go and where we're going to do it, but that's the excitement of things, folks, is that you just never know where things are headed. Sometimes in WWE you do, but with the Court-Martial podcast, you never do because we don't, and that spontaneity is what keeps us fresh. But folks, we're going to go to a commercial break, and we will see you right after this.